Hello everybody, welcome back with another video. Today we are back and yes, we just hit 300 subscribers. That's amazing. Thank you for all of you that subscribed, and my next goal is going to be 400 subscribers. Yes, I know, 400 subscribers. We can do that, guys. So today we're reacting to Attack on Pearl Harbor Pacific War #1 documentary by Kings and Generals. They have the most amazing history content that I ever seen. I saw their Julius Caesar's triumph, the Gallic Wars. I saw them all. If you want to check it out, check out Kings and Generals channel in the description down below. And sorry, I can't speak because I just ate. So yeah, I'm gonna start my recording.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so here we go, guys. I really don't know much about the Pacific War, so we're learning, and about naval. Yeah, I know. I don't know what you call them. I don't know much about it, so I'm here to learn about it. So yeah, let's go. Pacific War.
As we've seen in the previous episodes, the Japanese Empire had decided on war with the West since the embargo enacted by the US in July 1941. The plans to simultaneously execute invasions on the Dutch East Indies, the Philippines and Malaya, as well as a preemptive attack on Pearl Harbor to destroy the American Pacific Fleet, had all been drafted back in September, with preparations carried out successfully by late November. By the way, don't forget to check out our podcast on the Pacific War. It has all the episodes in a long-form format with extra details. The link is in the description. If there's one item the historical lead of the Kings and Generals...
I'm sorry, I'm going to skip that. But Ridge Wallet is an amazing wallet though. I like that wallet.
Kings and Generals, and using code Kings and Generals.
The Pacific War, 1941, 1945, the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941.
The United States, meanwhile, was also well aware that war was imminent, engaging in negotiations with Japan to delay this conflict as long as possible for their forces to adequately prepare.
Yeah, because Japan was prepared. They wanted to take over and start an empire. Like, if you don't know who was the Prime Minister of Japan at this time, it was Hideki Tojo. So yeah.
But on November 26th, the main Japanese strike force,
26th.
under Vice Admiral Nagumo Chuichi, had already left its base heading to the Hawaiian Islands. Thus, time was running out for the United States. In Hawaii, the principal objective of the attack was Pearl Harbor, the main naval base for the Pacific Fleet of the US, because of its geographical advantages.
The places they're gonna attack is over here, here, and here. I don't know if it's over here, but it's kind of looks like it's over here at the bottom,
making it perfect for accommodating large warships and aircraft.
Like maybe it's over around here, but they attacked how many times? They attacked 4 times. I don't remember, but I only remember it was 4 times. If it's 5,
carriers. The Japanese planned to bombard these ships using dive bombers, high altitude bombing, and torpedo attacks, hoping that the destruction of these vessels would be enough to render the Pacific Fleet inoperative. That's why they didn't target the submarine base or the oil yard that were also present in Pearl Harbor. This attack was so important to get an early win in the war that the planners had gone to the extent of preparing mock-ups and models on which the pilots could practice maneuvers, so much so that thousands of hours of airtime were spent in charting out the perfect plan of attack, while the Type 91 torpedoes of the era were modified with wooden fins to be effective in shallow waters.
Yeah, that's true. Japan's planes fins was made of wood, and the Japan didn't didn't realize America is actually the fastest. I forgot what word to use, but they're quick. They didn't realize that America is quick and quick to fix the boats. I forgot what word was that, but they thought they can cripple America because they're gonna attack Pearl Harbor. I'm sorry for my bad English. I'm still practicing reading books, and yeah, so they tried to cripple America in Pearl Harbor so that it would take long for America to fight, to prepare, and while America still prepares, Japan can attack. I'm sorry if you don't understand, just watching the video.
Yet the plan of Admiral Yamamoto Isoroku also had some flaws. One is that Pearl Harbor was a naval base, so rescue services could be quickly mobilized and many sailors would be on shore leave, thus reducing the amount of possible American casualties. Another drawback was that the American ships were moored in shallow waters, so most of the destroyed vessels could be salvaged and repaired with comparative ease. But the most important disadvantage was that the 3 aircraft carriers of the Pacific Fleet were absent from Pearl Harbor on the day of the attack. This was something that the Japanese command knew, as many spies had already acquired detailed reports of all vessels and schedules at Pearl Harbor, but they decided to attack anyways.
That's a mistake. That's a huge mistake, because they didn't expect America is going to prepare that quickly, or to repair that quickly, or maybe mobilize that quickly. Okay, so they didn't expect that. So that's the first mistake that they made, and there's a lot of mistakes that they made in the Pacific War. There's a lot.
Even though these carriers were one of the most important objectives of the operation. Meanwhile, in the American base, Major General Walter Short and Admiral Husband Kimmel were concerned about a possible attack on Pearl Harbor.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Walter Short and Husband Kimmel, I forgot who planned this, but they actually made the planes like get secured, right? But they did just put them in one place, like intact in one place, and that wasn't really a good idea because they just made the target easy. They just made Japan easy target the planes. So yeah,
believing that they could be subjected to a naval invasion or a sabotage operation. In that regard, all Army aircraft were bunched together for more protection at Wheeler Field, although this also made it an easier target for an air attack.
Yeah, they made it an easier target. So that's a mistake. But did some planes survive that attack? I don't know. But I heard they doesn't have any planes left. But yeah, I'm gonna say
attack. Munitions were secured, coastal artillery was put on alert, carriers started to rotate in and out of harbour, and ships and naval aircraft started to patrol in search of submarine threats to shipping. As their preparations show, they were definitely not expecting an air attack. On December 2nd, while cruising onwards, Nagumo received orders to start the final preparations for the attack on Pearl Harbor, scheduled to commence 5 days later. Although the Japanese commander was worried that they might encounter American ships on their way, none came, and by December 7th, the Japanese task force had finally reached its destination.
1st Air Fleet Kido Butai, 6 aircraft carriers, 414 aircrafts, 3rd Battleship Division, 2 battleships, 8 cruiser division, 2 heavy cruisers, 1st Destroyer Squadron, 1 light cruiser, 9 destroyers. Whoa, that's a lot. I don't know if that's a lot. If you guys are experts, tell me.
The operation began with Japanese midget submarines starting to stalk some American minesweepers that were on patrol, attempting to shadow their prey into the safety of the harbor while the anti-submarine net was open. Meanwhile, Nagumo ordered the first wave of aircraft to prepare for takeoff at 06:15. Commanded by Fujita Mitsuo, the first 183 planes then steadily took off from their 6 aircraft carriers, some 250 miles north of Oahu. At 06:30, they adopted V formation and headed southwest towards Pearl Harbor. A couple of minutes later, some Japanese submarines were discovered, and one was sunk by the destroyer Ward in what would be the first shots of the Pacific War. Around 0700, a radar post on the Opana Ridge identified a group of more than 50 aircraft 132 miles north of Oahu, and then notified headquarters, which didn't receive the message because the personnel had left for breakfast.
That's bad. That is bad, yo. That's the reason why they were caught off guard. Oh, because one guy just ate breakfast. Okay.
At the same time, Nagumo ordered the 168 aircraft of the second wave to take off, commanded by Shimazaki Shigekazu. Commander Fujita then sighted the northern shore of Oahu at 0740, relieved to see no enemy aircraft in front, and subsequently ordered his pilots to deploy into attack formation at 0749. Because of a misunderstanding of his orders, both the dive bombers and the torpedo planes simultaneously commenced their operations. Wheeler Field, one of the main objectives.
Wheeler Field.
Due to the concentration of most of the American aircraft, was first systematically bombarded by the dive bombers and then repeatedly shredded with gunfire by A6M-Zeros.
See, look at that. Look what happened. Look. So now the planes are destroyed because you bunched them all up in one place, so that it helps Japan easily target them.
Most of the planes were completely destroyed as a result, but 12 pilots managed to get their fighters to lift off and engage the Japanese in dogfights. Meanwhile, torpedo forces split into 2 strings, with 16 planes closing on their targets northwest of Ford Island, and with 24 planes going south to Hickam Field and Battleship Row.
Imagine that you were in this island when this happened. Like, oh my god, that's crazy and scary at the same time. Because what if you're just like walking, you see like goddamn planes flying over you? Goddamn, 414. Whoa.
Intending to attack enemy battleships and aircraft, some 11 fighters also turned east to attack Kaneohe, arriving at 0753 and completely neutralizing the American aircraft there. At the same time, the Ewa Marine Air Corps Station came under attack by 8 Zeros, leaving behind Wildcats blazing, scout bombers burning, and utility aircraft destroyed. Pearl Harbor itself was finally attacked at 0755, 6 minutes after the assault commenced, and the Pacific Fleet would be caught unaware with a rude and violent awakening. As dive bombers started their bombardment over Hickam Field, torpedo planes nosed down on Pearl Harbor, leveling and dropping their deadly loads into the water. Northwest of Ford Island, the ex-battleship Utah and cruiser Raleigh reeled under torpedo explosions, while to the south of the island, the 1010 Pier experienced a slashing attack in which the cruiser Helena was hit. On Battleship Row, the battleship Oklahoma was the first one to get hit by torpedoes at 0757. At this point, alarms had been sounded, and men started to pour from below decks to man the anti-aircraft guns. Soon after 0800, the Oklahoma received 3 more torpedo hits that left her capsizing, while the battleship Arizona was attacked with armor-piercing bombs that penetrated the deck and caused small fires. The repair ship Vestal nearby was also hit by these bombs, but it continued to fire against the Japanese planes even while engulfed in flames.
That's a war crime.
And behind the Oklahoma, the battleship West Virginia was hit by 2 bombs that caused serious fires and by a total of 7 torpedoes that opened 2 large holes and caused extreme damage. While on the other side, the battleship California was attacked by torpedo bombers that managed to hit her around 0805, tearing 2 huge holes that started flooding. As the Oklahoma capsized, Arizona was hit for a 4th time at 0806, piercing her forward magazine and causing such a powerful explosion that a fireball erupted from the ship.
First of all, I didn't realize there were a lot, because I saw a video where like there's only one explosion. That's the video that I saw. They just showed one boat getting dropped on, but whoa, that's a lot. Holy crap. Okay, that's a lot. Jeez.
Tearing her in half.
This is expensive. This is expensive to repair. God damn.
Vestal's fires were suddenly extinguished due to the concussion, but oil from the ruptured tanks of the Arizona reignited the repair ship a couple of minutes later, forcing Commander Cassin Young to ground the Vestal. The West Virginia was also set on fire by fuel leaking from the destroyed Arizona, and she would end up sinking due to the damage. 429 men died that day in the Oklahoma, while the Arizona suffered 1,177 losses, including its 2 leading commanders. This was more than half of the total number of casualties the US would receive in this attack. At the same time, a recon squadron of SBDs coming from the aircraft carrier Enterprise, some 200 miles west of Oahu, arrived at the battle and was quickly engaged by the Japanese. But its efforts couldn't prevent their enemy from destroying half the aircraft at Hickam Field. Around 0810, one of the torpedo bombers managed to hit the battleship Nevada, causing minor flooding, but at the same time getting shot down by the American gunners. 10 minutes later, after some relentless bombardment and surrounded by the fires of the Arizona, the battleship Tennessee was hit by 2 bombs that luckily didn't cause serious damage, although fragments of the bombs were sent flying and ended up killing Captain Mervyn Bennion of the West Virginia. Around 0830, Japanese aircraft identified the remaining battleship, Pennsylvania.
I knew it. I knew it. Why the hell did this boat still good? Like, what?
A refit at dry dock number 1, and then started to bombard it for the next 15 minutes. Although one of the bombs caused large fires on the destroyers Cassin and Downs nearby, the Pennsylvania only got hit once and suffered no serious damage for it.
Wow.
At the same time, Shimizaki's second wave reached the coast of Oahu, but waited for the given command to attack.
Okay, that's a second wave. Oh god. But the Pennsylvania though, that's a strong boat.
And at 0845, the California was struck by a bomb that started serious fires and caused considerable damage, although she continued to resist for the next few hours. While the Japanese planes made their last sorties with less intensity, the Nevada managed to control her flooding and then started to get away from the row. Around 0850, a momentary pause in the battering occurred as the second wave was ordered to commence its operations. Thus, over the Koolau Mountains, 78 dive bombers advanced directly towards Pearl Harbor, intending to continue the bombardment of the American vessels. Meanwhile, 18 bombers and 17 fighters attacked Kaneohe, and 27 bombers and some fighters took a wide sweep around the south of the mountains to attack Hickam Field. By 0900, the reign of death had resumed, but this time the US forces were determined to offer more resistance.
Okay, so that's good, America. But they really destroyed Pearl Harbor in just one wave. Holy crap, that's... whoa.
Kaneohe, the bombers made strikes on the hangars and managed to explode one of them, while their Zeros continued farther south to Bellows Field, shredding with machine gun fire the enemy aircraft there. On Hikkam, the Japanese resumed their bombardment over the field, but were met with considerable opposition, so they continued towards Iwa and Wheeler. The main attack also resumed over Battleship Row, hitting the battleship Maryland at 0908 and causing a small flood, although she would continue to fight for another day.
Is that the Nevada?
Around 0920, Pennsylvania's dry dock was also hit again, finally exploding the destroyers there and causing severe damage to the battleship. But the strong American resistance forced the Japanese aircraft to target whatever ship they could, starting more attacks over cruisers and destroyers, and not over their real objectives. So in the end, the second wave would be much less successful than the first one because of this fierce opposition.
The Nevada was still moving. What the hell? Is that true? Nevada was moving and okay. Oh, look at the damage. Look. Jeez. So that means the second wave, they didn't expect that. They didn't expect the proposition. So they just, you know what, screw it. Just drop bombs on any boat that you see. Jeez, that's big. That's the reason why the Americans really hated them. That's a war crime, right?
Around 0950, however, the Nevada would be struck by 5 bombs as she steamed past the 1010 pier, thus suffering severe damage, although she would manage to safely return to shallow waters. The California would also succumb to its damage around 10, so her crew would have to abandon her and she would finally sink over the next 3 days. Commander Fujita would be the last aircraft to remain in Hawaii while he conducted his recon and assessment flight over Oahu, finally returning around 1100 hours. When he reached the aircraft carrier Akagi at 1300 hours, his report dissuaded Nagamo from ordering a third wave directed against American infrastructure like the submarine base or the oil yard. He decided this because they were running low on fuel and because they had lost the element of surprise. But this would prove to be a very bad decision in the future. The operation, however, was considered a huge success in Japan, damaging or sinking all 8 battleships, among other vessels, damaging or destroying 219 American aircraft, and causing 3,497 casualties.
Totaled 3,487 casualties, 2,280 dead, 1,209 wounded. Oh god. Whoa, that's a lot.
All 8 battleships, among other
vessels. Okay, so this is the ships, the battleships that sunk. The USS Oklahoma, USS Utah, USS West Virginia, USS Arizona. The damaged was USS Pennsylvania, the USS Nevada, USS Tennessee, and USS Maryland. And other vessels, 1 mine layer sunk, 3 cruisers damaged, and 4 destroyers damaged. Jeez.
Vessels, damaging or destroying 219 American aircraft.
Damage, oh god. Total 219 aircrafts, 116 destroyed, 150 damaged. Whoa. Jeez, that's a lot. That's expensive.
Causing 3,497 casualties on the US with only minimal losses. Consequently, the Japanese had acquired naval superiority in the Pacific and could then continue with their plans of expansion. But before the smoke had drifted away in Hawaii, the American sleeping giant had awakened, ashamed and angered, and it wanted revenge. The Japanese war declaration had been scheduled to reach Washington before the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. That was a good speech. I like that speech. Wow.
Codification and transcription of the message caused it to arrive 1 hour after the attack had commenced. The following day, FDR would then give his famous infamy speech, taking the role of the innocent victim and targeting Japanese treachery to urge Congress to declare war on the Empire of Japan. Thus, the Pacific War had begun. This week, we will cover the Japanese offensive directed against the resource-rich British colonies, so make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button to see it. Please consider liking, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Our videos would be impossible without our kind patrons and YouTube channel members, whose ranks you can join via the links in the description to know our schedule, get
Okay, so guys, thank you for watching. Okay, first of all, that was a lot, and I love the way they call it. They just so the Japan just woke the sleeping giant. That's amazing. I like the name of America declaring war to Japan. And fun fact, they actually tried to attack India in like last years of the war. Geez, they lost horribly, and I want to learn about that more in this series in the Kings and Generals YouTube channel. So thank you for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe for videos like this. And yeah, tomorrow the next video might actually be India and Pakistan. So yeah, maybe the third part. I don't know. Maybe the Indian Pakistan one. So thank you for watching, everybody. Goodbye.